Hey, what's up, YouTube and Reddit? Um, so I wanted to make a video just to talk about how I solo play old school essentials. Um, right now I'm playing a hex crawl that I'll get into in a little bit, but I kind of wanted to go over some of the books that I'm using, the system that I'm using, and ask for feedback for how I can start to incorporate more aspects of this system into my solo game. So obviously, I use the referee tome and the player's tome for various rules, and I use the sandbox generator right now, really just to determine whether or not I have a dungeon in my hex crawl. Um, so obviously, there's the rules and the books that I'm using, and so how I structure and basically play the game is I have a uh, three ring binder. It's A5. It's nothing fancy. I think it's like $8 on Amazon. Um, and it all starts with kind of the hex crawl itself. So what I've done here is I've drawn a continent, and I've created a starting town. And so with this starting town, I use the sandbox generator to create the features for the starting town. And if you're not familiar with hex flowers, basically how they work is the starting town is grassland. It's a flat land. And so when I move, let's say I want to move here to here, there's this it's like a mini game where I have a player that's sitting here. I roll 2d6, and whatever the number results from those 2d6 is the location that this piece would move to. So let's say I roll two. I roll two ones. That would mean that this piece would move diagonally up to this space. And so then, as a result, since this is a grassland, the position that I would want to move to would result in a grassland. And then I would roll for encounters and determine if an encounter took place, what monster it would be. I would roll on the old school essential table to determine what monster in grassland I would encounter, and then figure out if we're surprised, if it's hostile, all that good stuff. So I have a really good system for travel and for populating kind of like the world that this game takes place in. When I roll for determining whether or not a dungeon is there, how I populate the dungeon is essentially I use Barrow Maze, which let's see if I can pull this out. So Barrow Maze is it's a mega dungeon, and it has these really great, they're like tiny dungeons called Barrow Mounds, and there's like 70 of them. And so they're like around this size. They're just a couple rooms. And so basically what I'm using Barrow Mounds to populate the dungeons in here. And so I've got like a checklist because I roll a D100, and whatever number it lands on is the Barrow Mound that I discover. So obviously there's not 100 of them. There's only 70. So if anything is over 70, I just re-roll. So the system is in place for encounters, obviously for combat, for discovering dungeons and items in the dungeons. For movement, I really only I don't track I don't track a whole lot. So basically my rule is that I go in one hex, out of one hex, and then I have to rest. And then the encounter resets. So I move here again. I would have to re-roll for an encounter. What I'm wondering is, I feel like I've only scratched the surface for discovering things in this system in Old School Essentials. I still don't have a good system for quests, navigating towns. Right now, towns really don't provide me a whole lot of value to the game. So I'm wondering, what systems do you guys have in place for, I guess, generating additional content for your games other than just exploring and encountering things? Obviously, I can develop a story, but I'm not too into the whole journaling aspect. I like to keep things pretty simple where I'm just drawing small simple stuff. And as for note taking, really I just keep a list of just like, what I encounter, what I defeat, what experience I get, and like random stuff that I buy. So yeah, so if you want, leave some feedback on kind of the system that I'm using right now. What can I add to it? How do you guys play solo? And yeah, leave it in the comments below.